All right. So Cindy's talking about a deal that we found. Cindy actually found the deal, and closed it. So, this deal had a mortgage of, gosh, I believe it was at the time 235,000, and this was at 3.25. Um, I don't remember the exact principal and interest payment, but I do remember the total payment because I pay it every single month right now. So the PITI on this is $1,665 a month. So that's the total principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. We sold this property for 334,900. They put 20K down.
Can I say something here too?
Yeah, sure.
It was an interesting property. This was one of the first ones I'd walked, and it was like I think they had chickens and kittens inside and a pig.
Wow.
I don't know, I can't remember, but it
And a
was it was
pig inside.
something to
Yeah,
see.
it was
Nice.
it was pretty rough. So that leaves them with a mortgage that they owe to us of 314,900, roughly at 7.5%, I think was what we charged them. And so their payment to us every month, I believe, is like 2520. Yeah. So something like that. It's very specific to not be sure, but I'm almost positive it's 2520.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. So you kind of look at a couple things, and like what Cindy was talking about is like, the cash flow on the deal is like probably like 900 a month. Um, that's probably our highest one.
And tell
Uh,
us, a little bit, please, about the buyers. Weren't they very eager to do the work themselves and to be able to own a home? Is that right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, the house needed probably 40, 50 grand in work and
Mhm.
repairs. So we
Mhm.
sold it to them as is, and they did most of the work and fixed it up. So now the property probably is, I would say the property, ARV on it was probably like 350, maybe 345. So it's probably worth close to that now, based off what the realtor was saying. So, what Cindy was alluding to was I had an agent, who's actually in the community. Her name's Isabel. She's great. Who got a call from my borrower saying, "Hey, I want to sell this house," and the borrower had no idea that Isabel and I are like good friends.
Hmm.
So then, so then Isabel called me and was like, "Hey, I think one of your borrowers is like wanting to sell a property." So it was like kind of funny how we found out. Small world. So, yeah, and basically she said, after them selling, at roughly 350 or 345, they'll probably walk away with, um, she thinks they would walk away with like 317, right? But then they were assuming that the payoff with me was 300, but I told him it's more like 307. So they'd probably walk away with more like 10 grand if that makes sense. If they sold it, which makes sense because they've only owned the property for like
Hmm.
a year and a half. I mean, for them to not cut a check is pretty crazy, but
Hmm.
they were willing to put in the work,
Hmm.
so that kind of helped
Hmm.
their cause a little bit.
So is it
Um,
on the market now?
no, they're still kind of like deciding because he texted me like 3 or 4 months ago and he's like, "Hey, we may sell it," and I was trying to ask him why, because I was like, my first thought was, number one, is it because of everything going on in this country right now, like immigration wise? Second question was, can he not afford the payment anymore and he's trying to like get rid of it before he gets behind? Those are kind of my two thoughts.
Hmm.
Um, so, he didn't really answer me. He was like, I'll get back to you. But I asked her, and apparently they're leaving the country.
Um,
Hmm. Okay.
So, but now they're saying, what the last thing I heard was that if they can't make $30,000, they need to make at least $30,000 is what they're saying.
Hmm.
So
you can't
this is
expect
actually
to
kind of
make
an
that when you own it for a year.
no, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting case study. I'm glad you brought this up because maybe we can all brainstorm together on some ideas. Because
Hmm.
in the future, like as we all do deals like this, like you're gonna run into similar problems, right? And
Right.
so there's kind of a couple things you want to look at here. My brain's kind of all over the place. So number one, if they sell this and they pay me off at 307, this mortgage that I have right now has paid down because of the low rate is paid down to like 225. So if they pay me off at 307, I got to pay off 225. That leaves you with like what, 82,000 or 80, something like that.
Me too.
Yeah. So that would be a check for that basically, right? So
Mhm.
then you have to ask yourself the question, is it worth, like, let's say they say, oh, well, if we can't make at least 20, then we're not going to sell. Then is it worth discounting your mortgage a little bit to get that money now? That's the kind of question I'm asking myself now.
Well, I was
Or
also thinking, like, what if you offer the 20 grand and then just sold it to another buyer?
Uh-huh. That is an option.
Is that worth it? Like,
now, how does that work? That's where I lose you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, so
Okay.
this is the first premise, right? So Cindy, so like this would kind of be the payoff, right?
Mhm.
So you're basically giving up 900 a month to make this now,
Okay.
which I think is a good trade. I would do that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if the equity position in this was 20,000, I would probably say no,
Yeah.
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So like you can kind of weigh that option, right? So that's good. What Griffin's saying is that if I was going to give them 20 grand and say, hey guys, like instead of you taking this to the retail market and listing with a realtor and making 7 or 10 or whatever it is, how about I pay you 20? You deed the property back over to me. I'm over
Okay.
here,
Okay.
right? And now I own the house again and I'm still paying the mortgage, every month. So I could keep it as a rental. I could sell it with a realtor
Okay.
myself at that point, or I can sell it again on a wrap, which is what I think Griffin was saying.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. But because
That is
another
what I
buyer
was saying.
okay. Because another buyer could be a wrap buyer or it could be a traditional buyer.
Okay.
Well,
Right.
because then I'm thinking like if it's fixed up, like I don't know what he did and what kind of condition it is in now, but
Uh-huh.
if it is fixed up, then let's say you give them 20 grand to deed it back to you. So you're now all in 20 grand. That's your entry fee. And then
Hmm.
someone pays you 40 grand as their entry fee, another rat buyer. So then you make 20 grand. And if it's fixed up, I'm assuming you could sell it for a higher price. So then your cash flow, let's say, goes up. I mean, if it's fixed up, depending on how well it's fixed up, it could probably go up $400. So then
Yeah.
you're at $1,300 a month and you get 20 grand up front. That sounds like a
Yeah.
good deal. Or you could like use it as a long-term rental, use depreciation.
Yeah. You're right. This is a very interesting. Okay, this Griffin, I like where you're headed with this. I want to present this example to you, to all of y'all, and I want to see what option you would pick. I have a buyer potentially that has like 60,000 or something like that. So
Hmm.
it's like, you could have someone, pay me 60 and then I got to pay them 20. So then you keep 40 and then, your payments go up, like you said, maybe to 1,300 or something like that, right? So this is kind of like the first trade-off. So like plus 40, that's kind of your payment. Or I could take it retail, take it with a realtor, and then try to make, I don't know, if I sold it for 340 or whatever, 310 minus 225, or walk away with, let's just say the same amount, 80. It's like, what would you prefer? Would you rather have 80 now or 40 and 1,300 a month?
I kind of like the 40 and 1,300 a month.
I guess it just depends on where you're in
Mm,
business. What would y'all pick?
It can't go wrong, I don't think. You're in a good spot, actually, I
you
think.
are in a good spot, but
I think so too.
hmm, it's a really good
Amir,
question.
Amir, weigh in.
Yeah, Mirror, what would you pick?
Amir, what would
Your
you do, bro?
finance. Come on. Unmute yourself. You're muted.
So
There you
I
go.
have to I have to pick up between 80,000 or 40,300 a month,
1,300 a month.
1,300 a month.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay,
It's
then there we
uh-oh.
go. So yeah, I would pick 40 with 1,300 a month.
Hmm.
Because 1,300 a month is 15,000 a
Hmm.
year. And so you do 2 years and you make a lot more.
Yeah. Hmm. It's interesting when you start thinking about this stuff though, because then you start kind of dreaming. Hopefully this is like inspiring. I'm not trying to, it's not like a brag because it's like people do deals like this all the time. It's not just me,
Yeah.
so it's inspiring for hopefully like when I saw numbers like this, I was like, there's no way that's like people do that.
Yeah.
So I want all of us doing deals like that this year. That's the
Yeah.
goal. So anyways, so that's kind of the breakdown, Cindy.
Okay,
I don't know
cool.
what I'm
Thank
going to go
you.
with. Honestly, I think at this stage in the business, I think I'm going to take this.
Take the
Take the cash.
80,000.
Just for our business because I'm prioritizing us as a company over my personal monthly check what I get, because I think this would help us more
That makes
with
sense.
with advertising. But I think for most people, this would be the better option.
Because you're in a position where you have enough passive income that you can put it in
Mhm.
our business instead of just increasing that, right?
I think so, but also from a safety perspective, because like you may look at this and be like, oh my gosh, like you're loaded. But it's like if you see everything how fast money deteriorates,
That's true.
this is very important. This is very important. I'm realizing that more and more. So I'm kind of prioritizing like cash right now. Anyways,
But I
um,
mean, how much, like, to benefit the business right now, how much of a
mhm.
difference, and this might be a dumb question, but how much of a difference is $42,000 extra versus $40,000 right now? Like you're talking about advertising, monthly expenses, like how much of a difference is that extra 42?
It may
And you're
not
making
be.
1,300 a month.
Yeah, no, you're right because you could put this towards marketing, right? Totally.
Yeah.
Um, I just I think I just used to think that like six figures in reserves for a flipping business was enough, and it's just not. That's just
Yeah.
that's just my realization. So it's like
I get
until
you.
I'm at a place where it's probably multiple of that,
Yeah.
then it's just tough. It's tough to trust yourself, honestly. And I think that's the thing that people don't talk about a lot, like being real about like real estate investing. You if you take on too much, which I've shared that experience with people, then you can start to kind of not trust yourself because you're like, man, how did I get to that position? I didn't even like see that coming, kind of. So then you feel like, oh, I need more and more and more. So I'm having to kind of like weigh and like you have to kind of tell yourself like, oh, I'm good. I can take this on. I can take this risk. Like you have to like remind yourself. Otherwise, you get close to getting burned once. It's very tempting to not really take risk anymore, which I think we've done a good job of like pushing past that and still
Yeah, I was
doing
just
it.
thinking of your home in Dixon, is it? That didn't sell as quickly as you thought, and that was a lot of
Yeah.
extra monthly costs. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, our holding costs like at that time were like 16 or 17,000 a month
Woo.
between everything. I
Wow.
mean, that's why I'm saying you look at 80 grand and you're like, oh, but why do you need another 40? It's like, how many months does that go away?
Mm, true.
So,
Yeah,
anyways, all
That's
right.
definitely.
true.
Let's, not everyone's in that position though. That's what I'm saying. Not everyone has that big of a thing. So maybe it's not the same for you.
Yeah.
So let's go through some other questions. What other questions do we have on this or anything else? It's just good brainstorming.
Well, I had kind of this is not at all related to what you've been talking about, but I had a
Hmm.
call with a homeowner today, and he told me pretty much right off the bat that he had already sent in a check for a loan reinstatement.
Hmm.
And he was very adamant in the course of our conversation that he did not want to sell his home, that he would, pivot to filing Chapter 13 if, things kept going sideways.
Yeah.
But he sounded confident that he was getting everything all squared away. So I'm just curious, like what's the right way to respond to that? Because I mean, to me, it just sounded like, okay, well, you already sent in your check. He's talking about like paying off everything, including arrears. So it made me sound like he was legit. And so I'm just curious, if that's like, okay, it sounds like you actually do have it squared away. So I'm not really able to offer you any help, or if there's a way to like kind of lean into that. And then,
Cindy or Griffin, do y'all or Amir, do y'all have any insight on that? On what how you might handle that?
Off the top of my head, and then I can't wait to hear what Griffin and Amir say. I've had a couple of those lately where I think it's going to be really, really important to have a good way to follow these people up follow up with them every 3, 6 months because a lot of people are still wishful thinking, oh, I can afford the extra 400 a month. It won't be a problem, and they had a problem because that's why they're where they're at. And sometimes they don't have, like the one I'm thinking of is Pamela. She doesn't have a job that she has this big increase. So these are
Mm.
people that if you, and I'm sure Evan and Griffin will share more how to lean in to make sure, but if they've really reinstated, for real, okay. But will they be able to handle those payments for the next 3 months? Because they have a 3 month period where they have to make. I just talked to an elderly woman today who
Yeah.
she, sharp as a tack, 84 years old, by the way. And she, because her Social Security check comes in a different time, she missed that first payment. Now she's getting it straightened out, but I guess my point is follow-up is going to be really important if they can't make the decision or they've reinstated or they've done something to be able to keep their house. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Because what Cindy is basically to add on to what you're saying, Cindy. She's saying that just because it's over now doesn't mean it's over.
Okay.
Correct.
And so
Don't trash that
keep
lead.
following up. Don't trash it. Um, you can try to sprinkle in some value and just be like, "Hey, that's great, wonderful. I just want to make sure you're taken care of because I've had people in the past that sent checks that weren't the correct amount.
Mhm.
So, can you send me a quick picture of what they sent you for the reinstatement, just so I can help confirm that that's the actual number you need to send in?" I
Okay.
would something like that. And if they
Sure.
don't send it to you, that's fine. Like, don't keep bugging them. But like, yeah, just bring some value there. Griffin, do you have
Sure.
anything or Amir?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really add anything to what Cindy said. Like, I feel like
Okay.
if they already sent the check to reinstate, there's not much you can do except follow up because she's
Yeah.
exactly right.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing here.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry, it's not a fun answer, but it's just the truth.
Hey, yeah, no,
We
I mean, that's the first time I've encountered that. So, just
we
figured
deal with
out.
it too. We deal with
Yeah.
it too, man.
Cool.
It's not always fun, but you're out there helping people and you're getting practice. So that's
Yeah.
that's 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 the good thing.
And it's a good
Yeah.
question because you really want to make sure you've done everything. That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's somebody that's taken steps and like really focusing on like bettering their skills. Like the more I think of it as like almost like a tree,
Hmm.
right? It's like you have this tree, and then it's like as you're going up the tree, there's little things that happen,
Mm.
and like there's little branches, right?
Yeah.
And when you're going up the tree, like you've never ventured out and climbed onto this branch before. And
Hmm.
so like you kind of see this branch and you're like, I wonder what's out there.
Yeah.
And like what most people do is they start climbing back down the tree,
Mm.
because they're like, I don't really know, like I don't want it's risky. I don't want to go there. And like what you're doing is you're saying, I'm gonna venture out as far as I can onto that branch just to see where that leads. And if not, I'll come back here and then I'm gonna have another one. And it's
Yeah.
like sooner or later, if you master all these little branches on the way, it's like, dude, no one can stump you,
There we go.
And that's like the coolest thing is like, there's gonna be times where you get stumped here and there, but like for the most part, I don't really feel like our team has like moments where we're like, oh my gosh, I just don't know like where to take this conversation.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just I don't feel like we get that. I think that we have times where we want to refine it and we want to make it better.
Sure. Yeah.
That's always the thing. So great question, man.
Okay.
What else we got? We can literally talk about anything. Even my team, like if we want to talk about deals that you want to look at, goals, opportunities, building cash flow,
Your
literally
turn.
Well, I
whatever.
have, I guess, um, a second question too of,
Yeah.
yeah, when I'm, like reaching out to people, like if I can talk to the right person like the first time that I call them, oftentimes I can have a good conversation. But if I'm like leaving voicemails and text messages, I tend to not get responses. Or the only response I get are, sorry, this is the wrong number. So
Hmm.
I'm just curious, like, if there's anything, that I can do, and maybe I should like go dig up my script and we can go over that.
Like when you're leaving, you're saying you're having trouble getting people on the phone once you've texted and left them voicemails.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Can you tell me like what you're sending as like a first text? Are you sending like what I had sent you?
Yeah, I think so. Why don't I just read off? I got like a couple of these. I wrote, I think, the original one, and then and just
Mm-hmm.
like Chat GPT to make similar sounding copies. But yeah, so the first one be like, "Hey Steve, my name is Alex, and I'm looking to connect with you regarding your home on Main Street. Saw that your lender is giving you a hard time, and I specialize in helping homeowners prevent foreclosures. So I wanted to touch base with you and see if you have it covered and if I can provide some support. Look forward to talking with you soon."
Cool. Yeah, and I mean I think that's fine. It's definitely like more formal and it may like seem it may feel a little like automated
Sure.
from a certain standpoint. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just hard because you want to like be able to fit everything you can into a first message.
Yeah.
That's like always my temptation is like I want to fit every single thing in. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's better to build some like curiosity.
Yeah.
Um, like Cindy, what have you been sending, for example, for like a first text?
Um, Similar to that. Let me pull it up. I have a couple here that I like. Okay. Sorry, I'm on relatives.
No, you're
I
good.
just something like if it's a text, I'll be like, hey Evan, Cindy Davidson here. I noticed the upcoming foreclosure sale on your home. Wanted to see if you knew your options for protecting your equity. I offer free consultations. Would it be a bad idea to talk for a few minutes tomorrow? Something like that.
Yeah.
Because I want them
Mm-hmm.
to know it's free. I always kind of get that in there because I think I heard someone uh, teaching on that the other day that that's on their mind. Like, does it cost something,
Mm,
So,
Yeah,
that's
obviously
that's
people
good.
are, having financial difficulty. So if you tell them that something's, free, then that might get their
yeah,
attention. And,
yeah.
That's true.
kind of tie it back to the conversation I was having earlier today with the guy who sent in his check to reinstate.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that he brought up is like, I don't want to have any part of any like predatory loan type of thing. And I didn't, make any mention of like, oh, I'm going to give you a loan or, anything like that. But obviously, people who have already talked to him gave him that
Mm-hmm.
vibe. So that's another thing that, I just want to like be aware of to,
Mm-hmm.
to differentiate myself from
Mm.
kind of the, more, I guess, shisty operators out there.
How did you respond to that when he's like, I don't want to be a part of that predatory lending?
I told them that that wasn't my business model, that I don't, engage in lending. And, I know that there's a lot of people out there who do kind of, underhanded stuff. And I'm sorry that he's been having to deal with it. And, I respect his, having his guard up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes the best way to separate yourself
Mm-hmm.
from something or an idea is not to like negate it, but to
Mm-hmm.
be curious about it and be like, sorry, predatory lending? Like, what do you mean?
Oh, okay, I see.
Like, just, sometimes that's easier because then it's like
Yeah.
they explain it and you're like, oh, that's weird. So like they were wanting to do this and that. Oh, okay. That implies that you don't do that.
Okay. I see
You
what
know?
you're getting at.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really good.
yeah.
Yeah. Another
Because
way I put that
we
too
get
is
stuff like that too. Yeah, yeah.
we offer a free service to help homeowners review all their options to stop the foreclosure.
Hmm.
That's short and sweet. Would it be a bad idea to have a 10-minute call to see what's available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alex, I'll give you some advice here. Like the more that we've done, I think the harder it's been for us to like kind of implement some of this. But I would like to start doing more of this again. If I could give you any advice, it would be to like customize the best you can to text them because you got to think about like all the text they're getting. And if you can send anything that looks like he took time to personally text me. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe brainstorm on what some ideas like that are. Like it could be writing on a yellow notepad, like and sending them a picture of that and being like, here's some ideas I thought of for you. Or it could be you shooting a video of yourself just quickly saying, getting in your car and be like, hey, blah blah blah. Like depends on how many leads you have.
Okay.
If you got 10 leads, I'm not even joking. Like I used to do stuff like this all the time. I would sit outside of my car
Mm-hmm.
and to make it more natural, I would video and I would open the door and get into the car. And I'd be like, hey, I just want to shoot you a quick video. I know you're an agent in the area, and I'd kind of get my car and start driving. I just wanted to blah, blah, blah. I'd park the car and get out and I'd shoot my next video.
I can
I would
see
do
me off
that.
the road.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
We all
But like
need
you
it.
could
We
do
all need
stuff
a
like
Tesla.
that.
So
Yeah.
we have it drive itself.
Yeah. But that's pretty customized though, It's like, oh, he's just getting in the car, like talking to me versus like in a studio and you're like, hello, my name
Yeah.
is
Right,
Alex,
Yeah.
right.
So. Do
Okay.
stuff like that, customize it.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. What other questions we got? Let's think about how we can grow this year. We actually want to do creative deals. We got to talk about concepts, number one, but we also got to talk about how we're going to attack it. What are our concerns about them? What are the things holding us back from doing the deal?
Just
That's how we're going to move
to
forward.
write on what Alex was asking, when
Hmm.
you're calling and calling and calling, I do use GPT because then you're going to come back around to them and text them again. So I
Hmm.
want to make sure I don't send that exact same one. So just reword it a little bit. And, I even started trying to doing the emails. So I used all the information and I
Hmm.
finally am getting an answers every now and then to my emails. And I'm like, yes, you know.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to make it a game, have fun. So like I have fun creating the message, making it different. And then like I said, and I got a response today on Facebook. I've been doing Facebook for months and had nothing. I can't even,
Wow.
but I got a response, and we're going to talk tomorrow. And it's like, finally.
Heck yeah.
But instead of
Nice.
giving up, just keep at it and just do different creative ways of saying it so you don't get bored with it either. And
Hmm.
then it'll work.
All right.
That's a big win. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm excited.
Very cool. And Alex, if you want to hog, if no one else has questions, go for it, dude. I'm here. I'm here for y'all.
Okay. Um, another thing too that I've encountered with homeowners is like, talk to them in the first like, minute of the phone call, let's say they don't want to sell.
Mm.
And I imagine that's a pretty common objection. And I'm just curious how y'all typically respond to that.
Yeah, that's great. That's really one of the biggest reasons why homeowners usually come to us is because they're looking for some different options to be able to keep their home and they just want to make sure that they can avoid all the red flags when talking to the lender. So when it comes to like being able to keep your home, like what options have you tried so far?
Okay. So just
That's
like
how I
asking.
was.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's like I'm working with a homeowner right now who are working on a reinstatement, and I'm kind of suspecting that the reinstatement's not going to work out.
Hmm.
And he told me like right away like I don't want to sell my home. And so I'm kind of curious like okay, we've had a few conversations now, and I haven't circled back to that, but I do need to get back to it and just be like okay, I understand earlier you said you don't want to sell your home, but like we've gone through reinstatement, loan modification, and bankruptcy, and you didn't really seem like those were viable options for you. There is another option, which is to sell your home. Um, maybe just tell me like, you know, I don't know how to put this. Could you, maybe help me understand um, the resistance that you had towards selling it? And I don't think that
Hmm.
that's a great way to phrase it, but I think that's kind of that mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good start for sure. Um, Amir, what do you think about that?
When someone says they don't want to sell their house,
Mhm.
They say they don't want to sell. He's getting to the last option. He says, he talks about bankruptcy or whatever option he's going to say. And then he's trying to figure out a way to get into talking about selling.
yeah, so I would there are a couple of ways that you can transition. Like for example, you can show them the consequences by asking a question of like, I guess, what would you do then, like if that happens and the house goes into the foreclosure.
Hmm.
Or another way would be like, you could tell them that, hey, just no obligation here, we're not committing to anything. I guess paint a picture for me, if you were to sell, how would that look like 6 months down the road?
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. And some people are going to be resistant to that. Um, one one thing that we talk about is we kind of call it like kind of like the common thread. So we'll be like, um, like
Mm.
those are kind of the three options. And in reality, like if you decide not to do anything and like you're just trying to kind of keep your house and hope, like if that's a risk that you're willing to take, then that is totally your decision. But I can tell you that really the common thread that we've seen after stopping over, X amount of foreclosures, whatever is true for you, or, you could kind of tag us into your group, right? Is that the common thread that we've seen is that the homeowners that are actually able to get their foreclosure sale stopped are the ones that are willing to look at every single option, not just the ones that are ideal. So are you willing to look at every single option? That kind of thing. And maybe I would change a little bit on the end, but that's kind of the idea. They're willing to change, to look at every single option. So I know you don't want to sell. I know we talked about these three options. But I guess and then you can go into what Amir said, like maybe just kind of play a game for me. Like we're not committing anything. You don't have to do this. That's the great part about this is all of this is in your hands.
Mhm.
Sometimes people that you have to remember that, what's the feeling that they're feeling right now?
Mhm.
Most people are feeling very out of control and they're
Mhm.
feeling like they have no control
Yeah.
over the situation. And they feel like the bank is taking everything from them.
Yeah.
So sometimes giving them control and giving them a decision to make,
Mhm.
not right
Mhm.
now, but just collectively. Hey, there's no pressure to make a decision. And the great part about this is this is your decision. You can hang
Mhm.
up the phone right now and we could never talk again and that's your decision.
Mhm.
But I'm here to serve you. And so
Yep.
I think the best way for you to guarantee that you can get your auction stopped is at least to look at this option. So paint a picture for me. If you were to do that worst case scenario, what would that look like for you?
Mhm.
That's pretty low pressure,
Yeah. And then
you
maybe
know?
too, can like just kind of get, thinking about like what are the positives of me selling? They
Yeah.
probably haven't thought of it all because they probably think of selling as like a disaster or a failure.
Hmm.
Um, but then maybe, if they start thinking of it more in a positive light, then, over the course of however long it is before their sale, maybe they just say, hey, actually, I do have this out, and oh, maybe I might be able to walk away with some money, which wouldn't that be
Hmm.
nice?
Totally, totally. Yeah, I think that's good. I also think that if you can think about it in terms of, I hate to say this, but it's just the truth.
Mhm.
I think people run harder from pain than they run towards pleasure.
Mm.
So I think you just got to keep that in mind.
Okay.
It's especially in the short term.
Yeah.
Long term, I think um people need to have a good reward and a good thing to go towards.
Yeah.
Like but in the short term, like they've got to see the reality of how scary it is if they don't make a decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to be a complete answer, but I would start there.
Okay.
Let me know how that goes this week too when you try it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I'm scheduled to call this guy tomorrow evening. So,
Good, good. Okay. Hey, just like we said, it's just another branch.
yeah.
That's all this is. Yeah. What else we got?
Evan, when's your next vacation, dude? When
Hmm?
are you going on a trip? You
Do
need
I
to
need to
take
go on
some
a
time
trip?
off. I
Supposed to
think you
go to
do.
Japan with Madison.
You
I
should.
might.
Mm.
I should.
Dude,
Um,
get that 80,000. Put a little put a little seven,
Shoot,
eight towards it.
dude. Yeah, that's the real reason. Nah.
You should.
We might go I think on Valentine's Day we're gonna go to Matt's cabin. My friend Matt, their
Oh,
parents have a
nice.
cabin and they're gonna be gone for the weekend and they were like, "You want to come stay here?" So we're gonna go and kind of just stay there and have fun and may
Nice.
go to the casino, may go drop 80K on a game, put it on roulette, put
Dude,
it
you
on black.
should.
I might walk back with who knows, man.
Zero
Don't
I
do
might
dollars.
it.
I might I might
Zero.
come back and be like, "Hey, love well team, I'm out.
I
Sorry,
made a
y'all.
million.
I'm rich. I'm good." Nah, I
Dude,
would
if you turn
distribute. I'd be like, all right, Cindy, you're getting 200.
bonus
Griffin,
checks.
you're getting 10, $15. Amir, you're getting 200. No, I'm joking.
Dude, you turn 80K to 160. Can't
Bro.
beat that. Put it on
More,
black.
yeah,
Yeah.
more marketing budget.
I gotta get a payoff first though. I mean, they gotta even be able to sell it. I think the
Yeah,
real question on that too is how much are you willing to discount a mortgage to get the money now?
true.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Something
a
to
good
think about.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll drastically affect your options, right? Like if it becomes 60K
Yeah.
versus 40K and 1,300 a month, would you rather take the 30K? I'm sorry, 40K.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
I guess
does.
it just depends on which option you get on. I got a
That's
question.
fair. Yeah.
What would you recommend as far as do you think you should, when starting into investing in real estate and you don't have a property yet, would you recommend you should start with wraps so that you can get monthly cash flow and then move into long-term rentals over time? Is that what you would recommend?
Absolutely.
How many wraps do you think you should acquire before you acquire your first rental property? Or is that subjective?
Gosh, that's tough. I feel like I don't listen to my own advice. So that's the problem. Like I feel like I'd be like hypocritical because I've bought like rentals and wraps kind of like alternating.
Yeah.
And I think like the answer for me would be it does depend on the deal. Like if you can get a rental that like pays for itself or a little bit more and it's a low rate, and the key thing is like there's not going to be a ton of like repairs or like capex later, like the roof, HVAC, that kind of thing, then I like it as a rental unless you really need the cash flow. And if you do, that's cool
Mm.
too. But I mean, I like, and I can go through, there's a deal that I'm considering picking up in Colombia that an agent sent to me. It was just like an agent relationship. And I actually would like to hear y'all's thoughts on it. Maybe it's a good deal to kind of explore together and kind of weigh the benefits of like wrapping versus renting again. But
Yeah.
I would recommend, dude, for you especially, I would, I would recommend wraps, dude. They're just I look back sometimes and I'm like, why am I buying rentals when these wraps do so well? And I don't know if I have a good answer for it, honestly. I think it's because there's work up front, like it kind of sucks to do, like
Mm.
to like find the buyer, and it's like that can be kind of a pain, and it can be kind of a stressful time. Versus like when you rent, like you're gonna be able to find a tenant, like it's not like if you as long as you price it right, like it's gonna get rented. Um, versus with a wrap, it's like, is someone gonna buy this? Like you kind of start having doubts in your head, and that can be kind of tough. So,
So
Okay.
with a sub two, how much money, if you were going to do your first deal, like he's asking, as a subject to, would you want to have in the bank so that you would know you could handle repairs or anything that comes up? And then with a wrap, do you kind of eliminate that? But you know what I mean? Because somebody else owns it, you're just being the bank. So do you not have to
hmm
have as much in reserves?
agreed.
Okay.
As a wrap, I don't think you have to have as much in reserves. You need to have reserves for like the holding cost.
Okay.
Like, I would say from my perspective, I would like to have a full year saved of monthly payments for that mortgage. That would make me feel good about doing my first one. Some people would say 6 months, but what if you get to month five and you haven't sold it yet? Then what?
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
I don't know. It's like I don't want to be in that position. But
Well,
do I think you couldn't sell a property in 8 months to a year? No, I don't think it would take that long. And by that
when
time, you at
you,
least have time to pivot.
yeah, when you say you need reserves for 12 months for a
hmm
wrap property, like typically you're borrowing the money to pay the closing costs, pay the seller. So does that include like the total monthly payment or just the mortgage? Like reserves of the total monthly payment?
I would say reserves are the total monthly payment. Griffin's referring to like getting a private lender, right?
Yeah. So you have holding costs every month.
Yeah.
And let's say you give 20K, 30K to the seller, like that's not inexpensive. That's going to be pretty expensive over a 12-month time period.
hmm
So that's that's a lot more money in
Yeah, I mean,
reserves.
because I
But
mean, I would say if you're doing a wrap, I would try not to come out of pocket. I would try not to get a loan or come out of pocket more than 20, 30
yeah,
on a deal for your first one. There's been a couple where I've gone over that because I felt like the equity trade-off was good. Exhibit A, this one right here. That's why. I came out of pocket like 40 or something on this, 45, but I felt like it was worth it because of the equity position, if that makes sense. But if it was like a
yeah,
low equity deal, it's like I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, no. Like I'm in the habit now where like this deal in Colombia, I'll share. It's like I'm asking sellers to come to the table with cash now. I'm not offering cash anymore.
So
Like
Evan,
I
the one that I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, the one that you were 30, 40 in,
hmm
how much equity you were expecting from that?
Equity position was like 85.
Okay, so
But
double.
remember, I'm gonna get 25 to 30 back
Got
on the
it.
down payment. So really I'm leaving like 15 or 20 in the
10 to
deal.
15,
So
right, right.
would you trade 15 for 80?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're asking. And I think I wouldn't trade. My rule is I don't trade my cash into a deal unless I can make at least 33% return on my cash.
Annually? Or are you saying,
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah. So if I leave 15 in the deal and it cash flows 1,000 a month, that's 12 grand a year. 12,000 divided by 15,000. It's way above a 33%. It's almost 100% return. I would do
yeah,
that. But if I have to leave 60 in the deal, it's like, mm-mm,
yeah.
I'm good.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Dude, yeah, I want all y'all to do your first wrap. And rentals, okay, that's the thing is like wraps are gonna be more they're gonna be more active.
Yeah,
They're gonna be more active, but you're gonna get more cash flow. With a rental, if it's turnkey and all that, it's gonna be probably it's gonna be more passive on the front end, but more active as time goes on with management stuff. I would hire a management company. I wouldn't do it on your own. That's just my opinion. That's what I do.
yeah,
I would just like focus on other stuff that your time is worth more than that, I think. And but you're not going to get as much cash flow. I mean, you may break even or make $100, but at least there is something to be said for just buying your first property. I will say that. I'm not saying you should go buy a bad deal your first property, but there is something to be said for just buying one. Because even if
mm,
you buy one and it breaks even, or like you didn't do as well as you thought, it's like, okay, can you afford $50 a month? Like, is like, can you do that? You know what I mean? To at least take a step forward and like get out of the mindset of like, oh, I'll never be able to buy real estate. I'll never be able to do it. To me, I'll pay $50 a month to get past that fear. That's how I see it. Because when you do it once, you're like, oh, that wasn't that scary. I figured out the mortgage portal. I figured out insurance. I did all this stuff. It was well worth it. It's like, would you pay $50 to learn that lesson? Like firsthand? I would. So, yeah. Especially if you get a 3% rate. It's like long
yeah,
term, you're gonna really thank yourself for that.
true, true.
Not to mention too, let's go through this deal real quick. I want to share like potentially why this might be a good one. So the house is a 2022 build. It's a mortgage is 241 at 3.6. Payment is like 1325. There is an HOA. They allow rentals. HOA is 125. That is 112. That is not 125. So that's 1350, 14. So the total payment is basically 1450, right? Now, the rent on this is probably closer to 1550 to 1600. Okay, is that a good rental? No.
No,
It doesn't cash flow. Not really. It maybe breaks even. Probably doesn't. Okay. Now, you could do two things with this. One, you could wrap this at a higher rate and you probably cash flow. It's a low equity deal. The house is probably worth 255, 260. So it's not like it's kind of break even after selling with agent fees and all that kind of stuff, right? If you wrap it though, you're probably making what, 700 bucks a month, maybe something like that. So this would be like a pretty good first wrap. Like something like that. I would do something with a little more equity, ideally, for your first one, just so you have like some safety in the deal. But like you could do that. Now, what are some reasons to look at maybe keeping this as a rental? What details have I not shared yet?
appreciation,
Yeah.
long-term
Okay.
appreciation.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's a new
So,
build in Columbia is upcoming.
hmm this is like 6 minutes from like the downtown square. So it's in a great area. So that's one thing. So location. So he said appreciation. What else? What else have we not talked about?
Do you get tax benefits?
Yeah, depreciation, tax benefits. What else?
If you held this as a rental, you're asking,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. What are
Pay
some of the
down,
benefits?
pay down of the
Yeah.
mortgage.
Uh-huh. Pay down.
You'll be able to increase rent over time.
Yeah.
So you're building equity.
Mm-hmm.
Benefit of this one is specifically is that it's brand new, low
Exactly.
maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Low
Yeah.
maintenance, yeah.
So that's kind of the main thing, right? So it's like it's 2022, so I'm not gonna have to do any major repairs for a while on it, most likely, right? At least like major mechanical, like roof, HVAC, that kind of thing, right? Hot water heater. Um, so that's the first thing. Second thing is that the what am I trying to say here? Sorry, y'all. Yeah, the last thing we didn't cover is how much cash am I using to get into the deal,
Hmm.
right?
True.
Because I wouldn't spend, I probably wouldn't spend. I'm not going to share details on this actually because I'm considering maybe assigning it, and I. Anyways, so for me, with where I'm in it at the deal, I like it because um basically I'm getting the seller to bring like $7,000-8,000 to closing to like cover the commission. So I'm going to be paying for like closing cost, which means I'm in it for like five. So like is the deal more attractive if you have to spend less? I think so. Especially if you can, secure this rate long term and considering it's this.
2022, right?
Yeah. Now, if it was a 1990 build and the kitchen hasn't been remodeled in the bathrooms, then I wouldn't do this deal. I
Hmm.
would wrap it. That's the only way I would do it,
Yeah.
right?
Rudy says
Hey,
you need
Rudy wants to
buyer.
buy
What'd Rudy
it.
say? Rudy, do you want it? I actually, maybe let's talk about it. Let's talk about it after this.
Evan's like,
Um,
shoot, I'm actually in it 15K. I need
I'm
Ah,
a
actually in
little
it
bit
for
exactly. I was
like,
going
it's
to say
really
that.
tight. I'm in it for like 25.
Hey, Rudy, it's really tight, dude. Forgot to
Yeah.
make the numbers work.
Yeah, I didn't share the second part that the seller's bringing 8 to closing, but I'm bringing like I think what was it like 32 or something to closing. So yeah, I think Rudy we're probably gonna have to be at probably 40 50K entry. So hopefully you can make that work. So okay, four things appreciation. So like what's average appreciation over the last 100 years? Does anybody know?
What is it? 3%,
7%? No, it's like
5%?
3 or
8.
4?
Yeah, it's like 4%.
What?
I was
Am I
on. I was
crazy?
right.
You're not
I thought
crazy.
it
We
was
just
like
had a crazy
8%.
wave of appreciation.
Yeah. Well, I know, but the average, because it's like an outlier, whatever. I
Oh
might be
yeah, I hear
thinking of
you.
the stock market.
I got
Stock
you.
market
You're
is
good.
8.
Yeah, stock
Okay.
market's like 7 or 8.
So, okay, everyone knows this doesn't work this way every single year, but on
Yeah.
average, over a 10-year period, let's just imagine, okay? So we take 250, multiply it by basically 4%. What would that bring us? Can anyone tell me? What would that mean the property would be worth basically?
260,000?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So it'd be like 260, right? Let's do it again. 1.4, then it'd be 270, 400 basically,
Mhm.
1.04, then it'd be 281. And let's do it one more time.
Like 292.
Yeah. So like, yeah,
292.
293, whatever. Right. So in four or 5 year period, maybe it appreciates to that. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Pay down every month is what on this? About $500 a month because the interest rate.
Yep.
So 500 a month. What's that for a year?
That's
This is guaranteed.
6,000.
This is guaranteed, by the way. So this is cool. 6,000 a year
Mhm.
times
Four
times
years,
five
5 years. That's
is what?
30,000.
30 grand.
Yeah.
So that means our mortgage goes from 241 to let's say 210, while the property has gone up to 293,
Mhm.
Hmm.
right? So you see like the spread here,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
that's your equity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
as this pay down, right? I know it sounds simple, but like it's nice when you see it this way because then it's like, okay, maybe this makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I like simple. It
Yeah,
works.
right. And then you have your rental increase, which is what Griffin, said, right? Because it's like, rents. It's tough right now with this economy. Like nobody really knows like what's going to happen, right? But like on average, like Rent increases, I think, are like 2% or something like that a year, something like that, 2, 3%. So by the time, 5 years hits, this could be, cash flowing like decently, at least where it's not just breaking even,
Mhm.
right? So that's a positive. The last thing though that I think that we need to pay attention to, especially if you start to make a little bit more money, is the depreciation, right? My girlfriend Madison, my beautiful, wonderful girlfriend Madison, we were talking about this. Um, I think actually last night. I don't know. We're nerdy, and so I guess we talk about this stuff at night. Instead of watching TV, we talk about depreciation on real estate. Um, anyways, so you take this value of what you purchase it for. If anybody's curious about how this works, this is cool. So you purchased it for, let's say, 240. Now, the IRS allows you to essentially what they say is that the building, not the entire property, because there's the land and there's the building on the property,
Mhm.
right? So the first thing you have to do is separate the land from the building.
Hmm.
So in general, that's about 20% land, 80% building. That's like the average, like standard what they use, 20 to 25%. So what you would do first is you would take this 240. I wish someone had told me this earlier. That would bring you to 192. So basically, they're saying the building you purchased for is like 192,000. Okay. Now, the government, for some reason, IRS, they recognize this building as a like depreciating asset, even though we know like it appreciates over time because you have to do work on it, repairs, things, roof, HVAC, all that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
So they say for some reason they think over a 27 and a half year period, it would depreciate all the way down. So you take 192 and you divide it by 27.5.
So
What
like
does that
three,
bring you?
is it 3% a year, something like that? It depreciates?
Pretty close to that.
It would depreciate at basically this number, 192 divided by 27 and a half. So that would be basically
7,000.
7,000 a year
Yeah.
is what they allow you to take off on write off on your taxes. So if you only made $7,000 that year in income, I hope not, but if that was the case, you could write 7,000 off and you wouldn't pay any taxes. So then the question is, how much income do you make currently? And how many rentals like this would you have to own to pay zero in taxes for the next 30 years?
Hmm. Wow.
That's the power of this.
Wow.
So when you look at all of this, if you only look at this number, it's like, well, no, that's stupid. Why would you ever do that deal? But then you look at this stuff and it's like, okay, maybe if I'm in the deal for low enough and you have the reserves to cover it. And the thing is too, is like to Griffin's point, it's like you could wrap it or rent it, but like what's keeping me from wrapping it 2 years from now if I wanted to? Nothing. What I think what I'm going to start doing on some of these, and this may be like a nugget for people that are wanting to buy rentals or they're not really sure, is potentially what you could do is rent these properties out for 3, 4, 5 years. When it comes to the point where maybe they need repairs, then sell them as is, as a
Hmm.
wrap. Don't do the work, you
That's
know?
smart.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a like nice way to get around it. But like if you're making 70 grand a year, you buy 10 rentals, and that's 70K a year that you're writing off on your taxes, and then you're
Don't
good.
think
No
that.
taxes.
Hmm.
Pretty crazy. So what do y'all think? Any questions on this or like thoughts?
Very interesting, actually.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
love real estate, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every time I hear about this, I'm just like, dude,
I love it too.
I
And
need to.
I want us all to freaking, I mean, we're all calling, we're all doing stuff, but it's like
Mhm.
this can be real for everybody on this call.
Yeah.
And that's what I want this group to be about, is like us actually doing it and taking steps towards it. And that doesn't mean that you can do that right now. Maybe you don't have the reserves to feel comfortable doing that. And I fully respect that and honor that more than the person that's like, I'm just gonna go do it anyways. I don't have any money, but I'll borrow and I'll figure it out. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right? But if you have 15, 20,000, I would say, saved up, and you feel like, okay, I'm ready to make a move on this, then go do it. Or partner with someone that does have the money. You could do that too. That's a way to shortcut it.